Welcome to our book club. Good morning. Good morning, Jennifer, Shahira, Ranjini, Huda, and Ali. So for today's club, we are going to be reading Sinan Antoon's The Corpse Washer, which is a translation from his Arabic text. And we have with us, Jennifer's going to go first, followed by Ranjini. Then Shahira's turn to kind of give her take on the text. That will be the Malaysian reading of it, the outsider's reading of the text. And we're also fortunate to have with us two Iraqi readers, scholars, Ali, and then there's Huda. Okay, so we will begin with Jennifer.
Okay, hello everybody, good morning. So first of all, this is my first time taking on this kind of topic. So when I finished this book, I was actually like stunned in a sense, because I've always been interested in the theme of death. So for this book, it actually shows me another side, another
dimension.
Dimension on death, because usually it's about the person who is passed on. It's about that character, but this is like looking at the person dealing with death. So there was a few instances like the preparation they did, like an occupation for them. It's very, I don't know, it's kind of peaceful. And it's very symbolic. It's at the same time very noble of them, because usually during war we will look at the soldiers' point of view, the people's point of view, like citizen. But this book looks on a very special person. To me, it's like the person who is gonna deal with all the aftermath of everything. He's like picking up pieces. He's trying to not say clean the streets, it's like trying to make things better in the community in a sense. So that's what I got from this book. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ranjini?
Okay, as I said before, I started with reading Yellow Bird and couldn't connect. But then I feel like connected with a different level with this book. So particularly, I'd like to point to this page. Page 207, Page 156. So this is the letter that the uncle published online. A lover's pauses before Iraq's ruins. So this, when I read this particular letter,
a lover
pauses before Iraq's ruins.
Which paragraph? Sorry, which chapter?
Page 156, chapter 22.
22.
156 is chapter 45 for me. So
I think so. This is chapter 22.
Chapter 20.
2 pages before the end. So at the very end, this letter that the uncle wrote.
If it's on the book, it's around page 97 or 98.
98 is the last, so 97 is the second last. What does the paragraph begin with?
A month after his departure, he sent me a long, sorrowful and pessimistic article about his visit that he had published online. It was entitled "A Lover Pauses Before Iraq's Ruins."
Okay. Bottom of page 97. Yes. If you've got the book version. Oh, Lord.
So in this,
I don't have number.
You're reading the Arabic version?
No, it's English, but I don't have the number. It is not numbered.
Are you using the book version? Do you have this edition?
Yes.
Because if it's this edition, it's page 97. Okay,
I
just a
don't
second.
know. There's no page. Okay. But it will be 22. It's all right. Before the end, Rajini.
Yes. Towards the
It's the second last page for chapter 22.
Okay, last page of chapter 22. Okay, cool.
He
Second.
gave
Yeah.
me. He gave me an envelope.
Next paragraph, Huda.
Next will be a month after his departure.
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
So
the
if you refer
same.
to this particular section, which is the letter that the uncle publishes,
Mm-hmm.
he compacts the Iraqi people with the palm trees. I like to read the section.
Okay, please.
Iraqis and palm trees. Who resemble whom? There are millions of Iraqis and as many or perhaps somewhat fewer palm trees. Some have had their fronds burned. Some have been beheaded. Some have had their backs broken by time but are still trying to stand. Some have dried bunches of dates. Some have been uprooted, mutilated, and exiled from their orchards. Some have allowed invaders to lean on their trunk. Some are combing the winds with their fronds. Some stand in silence. Some have fallen. Some stand tall and raise their heads high, despite everything in this vast orchard, Iraq. When will the orchard return to its owner? Not to those who carry axes, not even to the attendant who assassinates palm trees, no matter what the color of his knife. When I read this particular section, it really touched me on a different level. I really cried. Because to compare humans with a palm tree and then to point out the things that they're having in common is like, it made me really kind of grateful that I'm in Malaysia, that I never experienced this kind of torment that we went through. So it like kind of made me feel really grateful to be here, and it also made me very interested to know what's like the perception of Huda and Ali, their age when this happened, what they were going through, whether they were their age particularly when this happened. Yeah.
And how they dealt with it. Yeah. So we'll ask them later when they do their presentation. But well,
Okay.
well spotted. Well spotted. Was there anything else?
You know, this is the main thing that I want to highlight. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really good. Jennifer. No, sorry, Shahira.
All right. This is my first experience reading from the Iraqi canon as well. And when I first read it last week, I list down the themes that I could find. So it was love, death, finding oneself, and acceptance of fate. So basically, the novel is of Jawad's journey. Um, but I think I like chapter 8 because this is the first time someone, the art teacher, Raid Sulaiman or something. Oh, sorry. Raid Ismail. So
Yeah.
the art teacher, he was the first person to validate
That's right.
Jawad's interest and talent.
That's right.
And in this chapter as well, in the summer, during the school break, Jawad was working with his father at the
مغيسل.
how do you pronounce it again?
مغيسل.
مغاسل
I cannot. Truth is, I cannot read
When-
Arab words in Roman characters, in
house
Roman
wash.
alphabets.
The shame, Shahira, the
No,
shame.
I can read it when it's in Jawi in the Arabic script, but you switch it to the alphabet. I was like, what?
Yes,
So,
مغيسل, it's in the place where they wash the corpse.
Yeah, and then it's very interesting because the characters in this novel are of the Shia sect, and we
Yeah.
in Malaysia we are Sunni. So there's slight differences in the way we prep the body for the
Yep.
afterlife.
Yeah.
Especially with the pomegranate branches. I thought that was just really interesting because it's not practic in Sunni, so that was something very new for me to discover. And then let me see.
So your reading of it, when you were reading the novel, you were more focused on the kind of themes that you saw emerging.
Because last week we did the thematic, right? So I started reading it right after class. So in my mind, it was
very
just
impressed.
so in my mind it was just getting to the themes.
Yeah.
But another thing about the novel, I don't think I'm a fan with the jumping from the dream sequence to the reality sequence. It got confusing with the timeline.
Yeah. I feel the same.
So that's it from me.
Okay, Jennifer disagrees.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So okay. So now let's listen to our Iraqi readers, what they have to say about this novel. So Ali,
Yes, doctor.
okay, tell us your thoughts as an insider.
Yeah. For me, doctor, after I have completed the reading of this novel, actually, I very interested to read this novel because either I read these paragraphs from this novel or I already lived the event of this novel, as you know.
Right.
The theme that attracts me is the theme of lost. May the other not this theme or not. This theme related with Jawad.
With what? With what?
The character Jawad or
Oh,
Jawad.
the central character, Jawad, right?
Yeah. The suffering of this person from the beginning of the novel till the end, it show us how the Iraqi person, the Iraqi citizen, seen or show his usual life. Yeah. The theme of Lost show us in two or more times. The first time I see in chapter 19, exactly at page 72, when I read the paragraph, "The Face of Picasso," which occupied the wall of the Department of Plastic Arts to the right. His features looked stern that day. If you find this paragraph. At page 19. Yes, doctor.
Ali, sorry, which chapter?
Bottom of page 73. For those of you with the book version.
19, chapter 19.
The last couple of lines of page 73. It's literally 3 paragraphs before the end. The third last paragraph of the novel, of the chapter. Sorry.
For me,
Found
page 72.
Mine is 73.
Yes. Where is 72?
Everyone found their version in their version?
Yes. Doctor.
Ranjini?
The paragraph that began with "I stood there for 10 minutes."
Yeah.
You find it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Yes. I stood there for 10 minutes, letting my eyes wander, then walked toward the audiovisual arts department. I passed by the bench where Reem and I had sat many times. 2 students were perched on it. I greeted them in passing. I saw the face of Picasso. This is what I want to talk about. I saw the face of Picasso, which occupied the wall of the Department of Plastic Arts to the right. His features looked sterner that day. This is show us, Doctor. This illustrates us the definite judgment of the American invasion of Iraq as a constant act of Orientalist ignorance. an exercise in willful mistranslation that was carried out with cruel irony. In the name of those universal values over which the West claims guardianship for the passage, unsettles the idea of Iraq as some utterly ignoble and absolutely alien other. What the US has pumped in its destruction of the Academy of Art is a seed of universal values, and it is on Western heritage. The reference to Picasso's stern face serves as a reminder of the message of his masterpiece, Guernica, about the fatality and property of war. This is also show us, Doctor, when Jawad hears about the Americans have pumped the art academy, he feels like that his dream to be an art teacher is fade away.
Yeah.
The Americans not only destroy and kill his dream, but also they destroy the civilization of Iraq.
Yep.
They destroy the first enlightenment in the world. Yes, this is the first element that I want to refer to, as I called it, the lost. Then the second loss that Jawad talked about, I see it at chapter exactly, chapter 18, at page 67.
Paragraph?
Paragraph, chapter 18. Let me check it, Victor.
Ali, can you read out the sentence?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Jennifer?
Ranjini?
Ranjini?
Yeah, so I can type and just search for it.
Are you using an ebook?
Yes, doctor.
Oh, cool.
Yes, Doctor. Phone me at page 67, chapter 18. I have selected two sentences or two paragraphs. The first one that I sorry, Doctor, I cannot pronounce it. I cannot say it. Just I can pronounce it.
It's a bad language, doctor. Bad language.
Yeah, the last sentence of first paragraph, I can just pronounce it SHUTTHEFUCK up. This is the first sentence I want to refer to, and then also the paragraph before the last one at the same page. Looks like these liberators want to humiliate us. The same page.
Really?
Okay, so are you with me?
Looks
Not really.
like these liberators want to humiliate us.
Which
Yes.
page is that?
At the same page, the paragraph before the last one.
I'm on an ebook, so I'm on page 69.
The sentence that began with "as we got our car back on the road."
Yes.
Okay.
You find it?
No, not yet.
It's about chapter 18, 3 page from the end.
Dr. Wright, it's at page 68.
Oh.
Page 68, the
I think
second
for
last
me it's
paragraph.
only different one page.
Near the bottom.
Got it.
of the
Got
page.
it. Found it.
Yeah.
Found it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry, what
Okay.
was the word that Ali couldn't pronounce?
The first sentence that I couldn't pronounce, Doctor, at the first paragraph, at the first paragraph, the last sentence, SHUTTHEFUCK up.
I can't find the word.
It's
On the
shut
same
the-
page.
At the
No,
same-
if it's on the book, doctor, it's actually page 67, the last word.
Found it. Found it.
Okay.
Yes, Doctor. And then I will comment on the second sentence that is, looks like these liberators want to humiliate us.
Yeah.
Yes, doctor. Uh, the gulf between the invaders and invaded remains insurmountable. Taking a coffin to Najaf in a car, Jawad and others are waylaid by an American platoon
Yeah.
and made to kneel with their hands behind their head while the soldier checked the vehicle. And then he said this sentence that I tell you that I cannot say it. Scream in American soldier. As Jawad translated what the American soldier say for Hamoudi, the moment captured a central truth about the colonialism. For all the professedly universal sentiment about liberating fellow human beings in the name of right that characterizes justification of colonialism. The logic of shared humanity never overcomes the logic of colonial difference in the colonial encounter. As Hamoudi observes, these liberators want to humiliate us. This sentence, this event, or this accident, Doctor, reminds me about a previous accident when I was at Baghdad at that time. And I was still a young boy and was not familiar of the rules of the traffic lights and want to pass the street unaware that the Americans are coming with their black cars. They suddenly stopped beside me and one of the soldiers pointed his gun towards me trying to shoot. But the other soldier who was driving do not allow him. And there was a big fight and a quarrel between them. For me, Doctor, it was like a miracle that happened to me that day because the Americans don't hesitate to shoot any moving things. As they did it with my father, with Iraqis war against Kuwait, and that made me now orphan. Until now, I don't know the reason that why my father was killed.
Your father was killed
Yes, doctor.
by an American soldier?
I mean, doctor, when my father was one of the soldier at the Iraqi army, so when he was at Kuwait with the Iraqis army against Kuwait, he called also by the American. As I mentioned before, that the American can shoot anybody or anything that they see in the streets without any main reason. This is also another element that show the loss for Jawad and for any another citizen in Iraq.
Anything else, Ali?
Thank you, Doctor.
Oh, mashallah. Thank you. May Allah preserve your family.
Thank you,
And
Doctor.
keep your father Shaheed, martyr. Huda.
Yes, doctor.
Because
Well,
Huda asked my permission over the WhatsApp. Like she had lots of personal stuff to say. And I said, okay, you can, but keep in mind that we want it to be more focused to the text. So I allow that kind of rhetoric, you know, what Ali has just done, the anecdotal kind of information. I think we need to be able to do that, but don't take it too far that you forget the focus of your study, which is how it is captured in the novel. All right,
yes,
please, Huda.
thank you. I have something. I have so many things, but I don't know how to start. I will start from to raise many questions. How could a book contains 255 pages, summarize 30 years, 3 decades of persistence, death, and suffering? caused by two wars and a blockade. This is number one. And I have, how can a book is so precious and dear to every single Iraqi read it? Is it the orchestrated language between the Arabic standard and Iraqi dialect? Maybe it is the reason, or because it touched the core of the hearts of all Iraqi people. Sinan has said too much, but it is not all the truth, because we live it. I don't know. We live it, and we suffer more and more in this unstoppable death and wars because of this dictator who treats his people as if they are ponies, chess ponies, and the war as if it is a video games. That's what can I say about it. As for Ranjini, she used the same chapter that I used. She's very clever in choosing this chapter because, the theme, date palm, it's a symbol for all Iraqis. There is an intimate relation with date palms. I don't know. Even my grandfather, when we were young, and I am also an orphaned girl. So I lived in big house of my grandfather. He used to he planted a young date palm. He said, "This is young, just like you." So I will go back to this date palm later after I chooses my my chapters. It's all right. And there is one critic, Arabic critic. He said, sorry. Why? How come a Christian Iraqi explain a Shiite Muslim ritual in such honesty and such accurate details? I can simply answer him. I said, Dr. Sinan, he's a part of that tapestry. It is called Iraq, that have woven its textile from colorish with threads since the beginning of the time, that embraces all Iraqi ancient civilization, Mesopotamia, Babylon, Ur, Ashur, Akkad, and so on. So Christian, they are the descendant of Ashur and Akkad. So they were the king of Iraq. So no, why he is questioning this loyalty or his intimate relation with Shiite? And I want to choose, it is chapter 5. But I don't know what is, the numbers. I miss it here. Chapter 5, it is, I think, the second paragraph. And at the second, the fourth, I think, fifth sentence, I also asked him about the differences between us, the Sunnis and Shiite. I don't know if you get it.
Yes. If it's the text, if you've got the book version, it's page 24.
24.
Chapter 5, the first page, basically.
Yes, it's the first page. I asked him about the differences between us and the Sunnis in washing. He said,
just a second. Does everybody have the same page with your addition?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the paragraph that starts with, I asked him once.
I asked
Just
him
as I mother.
Chapter 5, the first page. First page, if your ebook, maybe the second page.
Before the last paragraph, it is, I asked him about the differences between us. So I'll continue, Doctor.
Wait a minute. Can you all see in your version? Ranjini, can you see it in your version?
Yes, Doctor, got it.
Shahira?
Yes, got it.
Jennifer?
Got it, got it.
All right. Ali, you got it as well?
Dr. Bas, sorry, the beginning of the first paragraph.
Chapter 5, the paragraph, it's the third paragraph.
Yes.
It starts with, I asked him once, just as I asked mother before, why we washed the dead. That paragraph.
Let me check, Doctor. I asked him.
I asked him once.
About the
paragraph
differences
begins
between.
with this sentence. I asked him once, just as I asked mother before, why we washed the dead. That's the paragraph, but it's the middle of the paragraph that Huda wants to draw our attention to. In the middle of the paragraph, the sentence reads, I also asked him about the differences between us and the Sunni in washing. Ali, okay?
Yes, Doctor. Okay.
All right. All right, Huda, proceed, please.
Okay. I also asked him about the differences between us and the Sunnis in washing. He said they were very minor indeed. Certain details involving the mention of imams and the writing of supplication. I don't know if you are familiar, Doctor, with the Dua al-Jawshan. You know, this supplication that brought to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa from angel Gabriel.
Yes.
Okay. So he said the mention of imams, it means the grandsons of Prophet Muhammad, and the writing of supplication on the shroud, but nothing major. See, doctor, it is minor, not major. He said that Christians and Jews may also wash a Muslim if there are no Muslims at hand. The important thing, he added, was to be possessed a noble intention. In this, Sinan, it's the declaration that all Iraqi are part of this tapestry. It is called Iraq. Its fabric, its textile is, it is waving, and this intimate relation between them. That's I think it's very important. And the other one, as I said, Ranjini, she has a very beautiful and a good choice. When she said, I don't know, Ranjini, you are genius. Yes, I think this is the core of everything, because date palm for Iraqi is something very important, doctor. So he said, Iraqi and palm trees, who resembles whom? This is the very and quite true. Who resembles who? And he said,
What
is of course
what chapter is that, Huda?
22. It is
Just remind us.
22.
Yeah.
At the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
And when he said that perhaps someone, if you were, just a minute, I want to concentrate on the last. Some have allowed invaders to lean on their trunks. Some are combining the winds with their fronts. Some stand in silence. Some have fallen. Some stand tall and rise their heads high, despite everything. In this vast orchard, Iraq, when will the orchard return to its owner? Not to those who carry axes. This betrayed Iraq. Not even to the attendant who assassinates palm trees, no matter what the color of the knife. I think this is very important. And as I said, doctor, that my grandfather has had planted this small tree, palm tree, and he said that it will grow up just like you, because we were very young and we were very naive and we were eager to eat these dates, and we had eaten them and tasted them. It was very delicious. When my grandfather passed away and the big house were sold, so I used to visit that date palm. It is still high. It's still there. I used to hug it. She's thirsty. She has no front, no tits. I used to hug her and say, and whisper that, please tell my grandfather, we call him Jiddu. It means grandfather. Your little girl has lost her braids and colorish ribbons and all the family. Sorry, doctor.
Peace upon all relatives dead. Huda.
He was talking, as for Dr. Sinan, he was talking in his last chapter. Jawad was talking to the pomegranate, and he said that all my branches were broken and buried with the corpse, and he said that my heart is beating with death. As for me, I used to talk to grandfather Detpa and said, the death aches my heart, but it beats, my heart beats in memories. That's it. Thank you. And I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of you, but thank you also specifically to Huda and Ali for bringing us into the landscape that is Iraq through your reading of the novel. I mean, I want to kind of reiterate how powerful literature is because of this. You know, when you are able to find a text that speaks, number one, speaks directly to you, and number two, exposes the kind of experiences that captures not just your imagination, but captures your sense of being, your sense of self, you see the true power of literature, you know. So I appreciate very much the like Jennifer, myself included, Ranjini and Shahira, we're very much reading the text and appreciating it for the nuances, for the themes, maybe the character development, you know, the setting a little bit, aspects of symbolism like the date palm and all the rest of it. But when the text is about you, it has a different experience. The reading of it has a different experience, and that's what we've had the pleasure of from listening to all of you present your take on this. So now I want to open the discussion to questions. You know, what questions have you all have? Ranjini, Jennifer, Shahira, what questions do you have for Huda and Ali about this text as you were reading it? Were there anything that you were like, you know, what was that about? Like, you know, is there anything that you want to ask your fellow classmates who are part of the landscape, that the text that we're reading in? Ranjini, Jennifer, Shahira, do you all have any questions?
I was curious, but then Huda and Ali did answer their experience. They shared their experience, so it was more than enough. I understood.
Thank you. Jennifer, any questions? Any?
Well, when I read this book, because like how you mentioned, Doctor, because I'm I'm Malaysian, so I didn't really understand how was it like being there. So when Ali and Huda shared their experience, I felt more like, wow, this book is really heavy for a small, not say small, it's like a book as simple as this to have such weight. It's
Right.
like I'm like I might consider reading it again to really look at how it's being written, because
Right.
I instead of asking them question, perhaps I would, it's like they told me they are part of the story, so maybe through their story I can look at it again in a deeper sense. Yeah.
You have a
Thank
kind of a new perspective to appreciate the
Yes, yes.
narrative with, right?
Yeah, because this book actually gave another perspective as well, because what we see on the news and everything, it's always from the other side. So when I read this book, I feel, wow, finally I get another perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Ali and Huda, for sharing.
Welcome, Huda. Welcome, Geneva. Welcome.
Thank
you.
you.
Shahira, any questions for Huda or Ali?
Um, there's this part in the book when Jawad's dad passed away and they were on their way to the grave in Najaf and they were stopped by American soldiers, by
Yes.
a whole convoy. The, things like that actually happen.
Yes, yes, it's really happened.
May I answer her?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Doctor, as I showed before, this is actually happened for everyone, for every citizen walking in the street at that time. Because as I said, when I was there at Baghdad, just to looking for a job, and I was unfamiliar with the traffic light rules, suddenly the Americans coming with their placards and stopping me and trying to kill me. Okay, so when it say that they stop the car that have or carry the coffin and try to check it, this is really true. And the one cannot believe himself if he find himself alive after the American leave him, because the American cannot let anyone go without kill him.
Anything that is moving, they will shoot anything that is moving. And I
Yeah.
have three different experiences with such thing, Doctor,
Please,
if I may
please share.
say.
Please share.
Okay. At 12, at the night, my mother was very sick, and my brother took her to the hospital. So it was, this um, curfew, curfew. It has. So they keep the American keep drunk, get drunk, and they say bad languages, bad language. They use and our family, they are familiar with the English language. So my mother was almost dying because she was suffocating and she needs oxygen, and we don't have oxygen, so we have to get to the hospital. So these soldiers come from nowhere, and they become to shout on my father, my brother, and try to, they pointed the guns and tried to kill him, to shoot him. But one of them, I think he was the general or whatever he was, I don't know. He said, no, don't kill him. So he came and he talked with them, but there was a very rude um, argument, and they tried to kill him, and I don't know, they prepared the guns to kill him, but he said, I don't know, it's miracle. Otherwise, my mother, she was almost dying. Then I don't know, by miracle, my brother can't speak English, so he said that, and they saw my mother, she was very ill. That's why she went to the hospital. This is one. Second one, on a bridge, and our relative from Sweden, they were visiting us. They were, you know, young men and young children. On the bridge, there was a bump, but it is not a big bump. It is just to, frighten others. So our car was, after the trunks and whatever they have. So they came out from this, and they pointed their guns and tried to kill us. But the taxi driver was very clever. He used to go back, and in a slowly motion until we go very far, and they began to shoot, but it doesn't get to us.
So they
Thank
did
God.
shoot. They did fire shots.
Yes, shot us. And you know, these children from Sweden, they are not familiar with what happened in Iraq. So they tried to open the car and flee. But I used to, you know, sleep over them all, so they will not open the door. Otherwise, we will be killed, all of us. But the driver was very clever, and this is a miracle, as if we were guarding by angels. So we still drive, back until we go to another place. And there are many of this. And we have our relative. We have almost 10 were dead. Even this relative of my mother, she was an old woman, want to search for her baby because he left. And they shoot her in her head. She stayed for 5 or 6 months, emotionless until she died. And we have many. They were, beheaded and thrown on the garbage. So many things. It's horrible. We can't even explain it. But as you said, Doctor, I have to focus on the text. That's why I choose some text to elaborate in it. And there is something I want to say. In translation, we don't have this to bunch the table. We don't use this. We use to as if we are clubs. One palm put like this. Oh my God! When it is, yes. It is not when we lose something here in chapter 3, when Saddam agrees on the Iranian conditions. The father not punch the table, no, punch each palm of his hands, and he said, "Why the hell did we fight for 8 years, and then what in hell did Amouri die for?" Amouri, it is a nickname for Amir.
Yes.
As Ali, the nickname for Ali, I used to say Alawi.
Yes.
The nickname Ali. And Hamad, it is, or Ahmed, we call it Hamoudi.
Yes. Yes. It is just a nickname.
So Amouri, it doesn't mean something? It's not like my sweet one or my dear one.
You can say so. You can say so.
But what does Amouri mean?
Amouri, it's Amir, and they used to pimp him, say Amouri. That's it. As for me, Huda, they said Haddawi. Something like that.
Yes.
There isn't a meaning to it. So it's
no,
like
just
family
they
name.
love this person, and
Yes.
he's very dear and relative. So they said,
It's a
Allah, he is my as if he's my youngest brother, so I call him Alawi.
Yes. When you have a relation with someone, doctor, when you have a relation with someone and have a relative with him or know him from a long time, it is not acceptable to say the same name that he have. For example, when Huda, as she say, know me from a long time, is not she's not used to say Ali. Allah is better for her because we have a great relationship between us as brothers.
So it's terms of endearment.
Yes.
Expression of love or care for that person. So you don't call the person by the given name, you call by these terms of endearment.
It is as if it is a habit in Iraq.
So you want to show you're closer to that person.
Yes.
Because calling them by their given name sounds you're like very distant. I can understand that. And Shahira, does that answer the question?
Yes, doctor. Very much so, Huda and Ali. Thank you.
I just have a question. Like in Malaysia, in Malaysia, burial sites for Muslims, for Hindus, for Buddhists, for Christians, burial sites or crematoriums are available, almost in every district or almost in every 40-50 kilometer radius, almost. Like where I am in USJ, we've got a Muslim burial site here close by, about like 5 minutes from my place. And then where we work, where I work in UKM, there's another burial site like a couple of minutes from UKM. So it's you don't really have to travel
far, right?
You don't have to travel a great distance. You don't have to travel very far to get to a burial site, unless the burial site is, unless you come for a visit, like, if you visited from another state and when you pass away here, it might take a while because you're not registered in that, we call it in that mukim or in that area. So it might take a while because the plot is designated for the people in the area, because otherwise it will be overflowing with bodies, So that's the only kind of like restriction. So we are recommended to register with our mosque so that if in case of death, you just inform the mosque, somebody will attend to it and help process the necessary procedure,
Yes.
So how does it work in Iraq? Because
doctor, in the Sunni, they have these sites near in Baghdad, even the Christian, because it is not allowed to move. That's it. This verse in Quran, he said, وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ, what does it mean? Every shout, it will be against them. You might like their bodies, and when they speak, you like them. When they speak, you like them, but they are your enemy. There is a verse in Quran. I have to, so they are the same. They are afraid of every movement, every shout, everything.
Yeah.
So because
is it very far? Do you have to travel very far to get a body washed and buried? Do you have to travel very far?
Not all of them, even Shia, they used in Baghdad. We have, Musa al-Kadhim. He is one of the grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have many graves. But some of them, they want to travel there near Imam Ali. This is their tradition.
That's where Imam
Not
Ali
all. Yes, so he was talking about Shi'at, and they want, and he is his father.
Karbala, is that the right place?
No, not Karbala. It's Najaf. It's Najaf. Imam Ali, not Imam Hussein.
The father.
We have Imam Gailani, and he is for Sunnah, and we have Abu Hanifa,
So,
and
so
there
they're
are
going to be
great
buried close to these important figures. That's why they travel very far.
Yes.
Ah,
But they can use, they can use another burial. It will be.
I understood. Understood.
But,
Okay.
but this man, because he was in Mghaysel and he used to, wash corpse on the Shiite tradition. So he wants to be buried near Imam Ali. Otherwise, he can be buried near Imam Gailani or Hanif al-Nu'man, whatever, or even in, near the church.
Got it. Got it. And the theme that comes out from this discussion, and this has been an awesome discussion, everyone. So round of applause to everybody. I think you all did a brilliant job. I mean, you really immersed yourself into the text and kind of like came out with gems, with pearls and precious stones, and but there are many themes that comes out of it. And I just want to recap this before we kind of sum up the class. Jennifer looked at death and I like what you said, Jen. Looking at someone dealing with death, it can be peaceful. It's symbolic of something more. There is a kind of nobility that transpires when somebody is exercising the rituals and the art of performing the final rites before the person is put 6 feet underground. So death in this case is not the one who takes the soul, not the one who is dying, but the observer, the one who is witnessing that, okay, you have died, now I am your witness, I'm going to clean you, prepare your body before you are put underground. So
there's no, the main point is there is no negative connotation towards death. Yeah. Right.
there is no negative
like
connotation. What do you mean by that?
Because for my Asian country, it's a taboo to talk about that. Yeah, in Chinese community, you don't you cannot. It's very bad. It's like you cannot even choose your burial ground until you are almost there.
The number 4 means
the number 4 is death. The number 4 is about death. But the thing about talking about you dying, or let's say you are sick, you're in hospital, and then it's about even the discussion of buying a place, like even the discussion of where you're going to be buried is a taboo to be spoken about. So so in Chinese community, death is a very, very heavy and taboo topic. So for other cultures,
avoided. Do you mean that it's avoided?
Yeah, it's avoided.
So what happens when there is a death in the family? Is it seen
usually
as bad luck, or is it embraced? This is part of life.
Yeah, but the thing is, usually in Chinese community, when there's death, there's always a notion of chaotic, very chaotic, because usually the elder that passed away will not say anything. They sort of like assume the younger generation to know where you're supposed to bury me. Like you're supposed to bury me in this particular good place with the good feng shui, and I mean those kind of last minute. It's actually last minute preparation that makes things very hectic, and that's why people avoid, like, don't want to talk about this and stuff like that. But it's getting better. It's getting better towards the younger generation now. It's not that much of a taboo, but it's still not. It's like best not to talk about it.
Right. I mentioned the number 4 because if I'm not mistaken, in some lists they don't even have number 4. They have number 1, number 2, number 3, and then there's 3A, and then 5. Because 4 means C, is it? What is it for?
Yeah. 死 means death.
Which
literally
means
translation is that.
Yeah. So it's like you don't even wanna entertain the idea of dying, let alone the actual event. So okay, I respect that. Good to know. So Jen, if ever you wanted to compare, if you wanted to compare for any of our assignments, the pot washer with another text from that is based in the Chinese context that looks upon death, that would be ideal.
Okay, okay.
That would be ideal if you are interested. Then we had Ranjini looking at. But Ranjini's take is slightly different from Huda's take. Ranjini looked at the palm tree and kind of lamented. Maybe I'm wrong. Ranjini, I could be wrong. But when you compared the palm tree with Iraqi, you felt kind of sad for the comparison.
Yep.
And it felt like why would you compare yourself to a tree? Like, you know, I've got a tree. Let me show you this is something I got from my sister for my birthday. This year I'm 50. So my sister gave me this. My sister gave me this. Can you all see?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Can you all see that? Okay,
Yeah, it's a
that's
beautiful
the thing that I get to see every day. I love trees, and my sister bought me this. It's a painting of a tree. So I love trees. You know, I have this
So love it. Yes.
this thing about trees. You know, it kind of just I don't know whether I project to it my ideal or whatever, I don't know, but I look at trees and I'm constantly fascinated by it. But when Ranjini was reading that part, Ranjini, correct me if I'm wrong, but you felt kind of sad for the Iraqis for being compared to a palm tree. Am I right?
I feel just sad that that's their predicament come to this, but I'm not saying that it's bad to compare to a tree. No, it's just that I feel very sad. But I kind of like the comparison made when he compared with palm tree, because I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me.
Now, after listening to Huda and Ali, or even whilst you were reading it?
While I was reading it.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything like that in either in Malaysia or within the Indian community or within the specifically Hindu context that is comparable, you think? That would be something that we can kind of compare it to, which means you're not comparing apples with apples, right? You're not saying that, okay, in Malaysia, we look at coconut tree or banana tree in this fashion. No, we don't. You know, we don't have that kind of, allure in our natural habitats. But is there something else equivalent? Anyone? I mean, I'm not asking Ranjini per se, but is there anything else? Because in K.S. Maniam's writings, K.S. Maniam is a Malaysian writer, Huda and Ali. Inshallah, if I teach you all next semester Malaysian literature and English, you will be reading his work. He passed away very recently. But in his writing, the tiger is symbolic of the Malaysian or the Malayan spirit, the spirit of the country. So the tiger, you know, kind of like is symbolic of the land, you know. So where in the corpse washer the symbol is the date palm tree, sorry. Maybe in other texts or in other literary canon, we will find other kind of natural or non-human kind of symbolism. This is something to consider. This is something to think about. Okay. And then Shahira looked at various themes. I like the fact that Shahira, you mentioned love, you mentioned death. So it's like, you know, when you think of love, you don't think of death, right? When we think of love, we think of life. We think of procreation. We think of new life. You know, we don't think of love and death. It doesn't go like that, right? Shahira?
Yeah, I think he had a tough relationship with his father, and he felt that his father always preferred Amore over him. And then, you know, he loved his father, but then when he lost, when his father passed away, he started like not wanting to continue his dad's profession and all that.
But he didn't have the heart for it, right?
Yeah, he didn't have
Even
the
when
heart.
he visited the place for the first time,
Yeah,
Yep.
even when his father was still alive.
when he was a student at that time, and he visited the place, the Mengaisil. How do you say it again?
مغاسل.
Gaisil. The M is silent.
Because
huh?
it's rain, yeah.
Gaisil. The M is silent, huh? Okay, cool. So when you visit when he visited the Gaisil, at the end of the day, he just didn't feel like this is where he belongs, right?
Yes, yes.
Right? And I think that scene itself, it's like it's symbolic of the rest of the story. He's having to do something, he's having to be somewhere where he doesn't feel like he belongs. Not Iraq,
Yes.
not Iraq, but the concept of what he has to do for the rest of his life, the profession, the place in which he has to work. Day in and day out, he has to see death. Back to Jennifer's point, he has to be the witness of the dying of the people in his land. Can you imagine that kind of a job? I mean, you every day you are not going to come home feeling happy that you have done, if you're a doctor, especially if you're a doctor helping moms, gynecologists, helping moms give birth, right? Every day you can come back and say, oh my God, I gave birth, I helped give birth to another child, and I felt a
Yes.
newborn in my hand, straight from the mother's womb, and I felt a newborn in my hand. It's a different kind of a rush, right?
Yeah.
But imagine having the flip side where every day you are performing the final ritual, final rites for another individual dying, either through natural causes or in this case,
And then he's very affected by it till he didn't even want to eat the pomegranate from the trees in the compound of the Gaisil.
right.
And when he had to wash the head, just the head, the body is nowhere to be found. I think that traumatized me.
I know, I felt the same. I had to put the book down, I was like, oh my God, because when I read, I do the same. I try to kind of get into, I imagine. I am very intense that way. But I can understand what you're saying because I couldn't stomach it either.
And I keep on thinking about like the employees at General Hospital at HKL, because they have the morgue there and they have the masjid and all that. So I keep on thinking, man, they must have dealt with like things like this, with unclean bodies and imperfect bodies, and just like, oh Lord, it traumatized me.
Right, but I think after a while it becomes maybe not immune, but you form a kind of a layer of ability to deal with it, because my sister is a physiotherapist, my brother is an oncologist. The way, when the rest of the family talks about people passing and everything compared to the way they deal with it, they're very clinical. We're like, oh, we're very emotional and they're very clinical. It's like, yeah, okay, it's happened. Okay,
But
fine.
they are bleeding from inside.
Sorry?
Because they are bleeding inside because they have, he has, Jawad has many nightmares.
Yeah.
He can't. He tried to with his intimate relation with Ghaida or others, other one. He tried to forget, but he can't. Even Ghaida, when he didn't, marry her, as if it is a punishment. For himself, he's suffering. He get use of it, but he's suffering. And he tried to run away from Iraq to Jordan. Oh, Jordan are so cruel. Oh, what they had done to us. Oh my God.
All right. Okay. We're not gonna go there.
Can I ask a question? I'm a bit curious.
Yes, please. Who's that?
In Malaysia, do we have like a special place that to wash the corpse for Malays? Muslims, sorry.
Like in my experience, when my grandmother passed away, we washed her in the surau. So it's a smaller mosque, Huda and Ali. They have a special room for it. But when my aunt passed away, it was on a Friday, so all the prayers were going to be conducted at the big mosque. So we washed the body there, and then we prayed. We performed the janazah prayer right after Friday prayers, and then
So,
we moved to the graveside.
so in Malaysia, the body is actually washed by the family members. So there's like no.
Yes, there will be one person like in charge from the surau committee.
Yeah.
And then the family will help out. So in I don't know about other families, but when my family members passed away, so we wash her and prep her, and then we'll one by one of the family members will come in and kiss her before we shrouded her completely, and then we'll perform the prayers.
Yeah.
Okay.
When my grandma passed away, when I was at college, I was home for the summer. When my grandma passed away, we washed her at her home because
Yes.
she lived in this huge bungalow. It was an extended family kind of a concept. I stayed there throughout my school days. So the back part, the wet kitchen portion of the house, we placed like a countertop. She was placed there, and Shahira is right. There is a person who is who we call on someone.
She's an expert in this field.
Yeah, she's with the mosque or with the religious authorities or the department and everything, you know, and she does this job. So this is her job, and she will know the kind of things that you need, the cloth, the kampor, in the corpse washer, it's the pomegranate is being focused on. In the Malaysian context, it's something else. It's
Rose
different.
water, right?
Okay.
Rose water.
Yeah, there is but basically it's to cleanse the body, and I watched firsthand where they actually squeeze the stomach to bring out all the discharge, and you know, and they would tell you stuff like, you know, don't say anything, just you know, be gentle with the body and everything. So and then you every family member gets to come, and female, if it's female then it's female.
Yes.
So they will come and wash one final wash with the hose. You just kind of like, you know, wash. Then you get to say goodbye. You get to kiss the forehead, and then we shroud, and then bring it to the front, to the living room where everyone gets to say goodbye, and then the face is covered, and the body is wrapped up, and then brought to the mosque to perform prayers. But when my father-in-law passed away 2 years back, they went straight to the mosque. From the house, he passed away in the house, brought him to the mosque, and at the mosque they performed they washed the body, shrouded it, and then performed the prayer. The prayer is compulsory. The shrouding and the washing plus the prayer, that's compulsory. The faith says, our faith says that it is compulsory onto those who are alive to perform this ritual onto their dead. You know? So it's our responsibility. Our meaning, it doesn't have to be family member and you know,
It's the community.
it's the responsibility of the fellow Muslims, because somebody else is going to have to do that for you when you pass. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? You know, this is really good, you know, because you want to get to the heart of the text, but you also want to know the backstory. You want to know the context. You want to know how it's like in Iraq. You also want to know what are the other aspects of the text that may be culturally different from your context. So I love the fact that we have this combination of readers in our class this semester. You know, everyone's bringing in their own heritage and culture and history. And then Shahira, you also mentioned the art lessons that Javad went through, and I felt so sad. Did you mention the art classes or art teacher or something? Did you mention that?
The art teacher.
Yeah. Then I just felt crushed at that moment when I was finishing the story. I was like, oh my God, he never got to pursue his real passion. I just felt, it's like there was no hope in
And
this.
we know he was talented as well. He
Very
was very
talented, had such potential, but he ended up having to do something that he didn't have the heart for.
Yes.
And very much because I think if Sinan had changed that, if Sinan had made Javad being able to become the artist and all that, I think it would have a different taste for Iraqi readers. Huda and Ali, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, doctor.
Because you finish the story feeling that there is no hope.
We all have this unfulfilled dreams, doctor.
Oh my God.
Yes.
All the Iraqis, most of them.
Not most of them. We can say all of them, Huda.
All of them. All right. I just want to be optimistic.
Is Sinan Antoon based in Iraq or is he living somewhere else?
Okay, you got to watch the 2 videos for that. Very good.
Yes.
Very, very.
He was, yes, he was till 2010 in Iraq. Then he left to America, I think.
Yeah.
And he said it is in one of his video, if I don't speak about what is going on in my country, they said if you say anything about the country, you will be speak in politics. He said, I have to have an attitude of what is going on in my country. If I still silent, then what's difference? He said. What is the difference between me and those who, those who are with the invader?
That's an important point with diasporic writers. Why do they continue to write about their home or their place of origin or where they came from? So Sinan's point is very, very important, that he couldn't write or continue to write and continue to express himself from within, so he had to kind of leave. Many writers during the early post-colonial eras, especially in Africa, practice self-exile status. They kind of they exiled themselves from their country. You have writers like Wole Soyinka, playwright Wole Soyinka, the one who wrote Telephone Conversation, amongst other works of art. He literally practiced that because his life was being threatened, because he was very vocal. You might think, come on, you're just producing works of fiction. But you notice from today's discussion, as a microcosm of other examples, how impactful literature can be, right? How vivid, how real the experience being captured in the text for the people from that context, right? Yes. So I think that's important. And then Ali, you looked at the symbol of lost. You talked about the issue of humiliation, the constant humiliation. So the idea of loss is not like a one-time thing. You don't just, you lose somebody close to you, you lose a loved ones. It's not that kind of a loss. This feels more like a daily experience of losing your honor, losing your sense of pride, losing your sense of dignity in your own land, in the hands of occupiers, in the hands of outsiders, and you brought in Picasso.
Doctor, about Ali's father, how he get killed. Our army was in withdrawal, and they are going back home, and at the desert, they are not fighting.
Right.
So the the American planes and jet and planes, they shoot them. They were armless, armless. They are just going home.
Yes.
They and most of them, they don't want to go to Kuwait because they are our brothers.
Yep.
Even my late brother, he deserted the army, and they come to my house, and I was just me, mother, and my two aunts. They said, okay, we will take Huda. What do you mean you take Huda? I was just young girl. They said, okay, Laith is not here, we will take his sister. It's very cruel. So we have to, either we go there and fight. We can't fight. It's our brother, and we are not the those who commit this murder, because there is a Haras al-Jamhuri. It means the Republican guards. They are related to Saddam. They do this violence.
That was the Gulf War. No, not the Gulf War. The 1990. The 1990. I remember I was in the UK at the time. 1991.
Yes, and all our young men, they were hiding at homes or whatever. They refused to go there. So there were enormous members of the families. They were executed by shooting them. So we were as if, at the middle of, if we go to fight, it's against our our morals, and they are our brothers. They are Arab just like us, and if we stay home, they will kill all the family. So they try to get me. They said, but my mom and my aunt, they catch me, and they tried to get me out of the house. I was very young and beautiful that time, and they sacrificed everything to keep me away from their hands. So it was very shocking.
But in that context, is fellow Iraqi, not outsiders. It's fellow Iraqi.
No, fellow Iraqi is the security and this intelligence of Saddam. So that's why we are too. Yes,
it's a different situation. But Ali also mentioned about Picasso and the looking stern.
Yes.
Who was he stern with? Who was he looking sternly at? Was he looking sternly at the Iraqi people? Was he looking sternly at the American soldiers? Because Picasso does not represent America, because Picasso is not American. And who did you mean that he looked sternly at? I think you need to explore that a little bit more, Ali.
Picasso looked sterner by his face about what is happening at that time, because the Americans have pumped the art academy that Jawad was studied at.
So that's symbolic for Picasso being annoyed or angry, or
yes,
with whom?
He was annoyed at the Americans as they pumped the art academy. That Jawad was study art. Because all the students used to be at this college or this university and represent themselves as a student, as to achieve their ambitions to be a teacher or something like that.
Yeah.
But after the American pumped this art academy, he looks stern.
Stern.
Yeah. And then finally, Huda looked at various aspects. One of the things, Huda, you talked about is the difference between the Iraqi dialect and the Arabic language. Was the original text written in Iraqi dialect, or was it written in Arabic language?
It is both. In Arabic standard, but the dialogue, it was in Iraqi dialect.
So
Yes.
because of the difference, what was there something missing? Was there something enriched by it? What did you get from the Arabic version that the English version didn't have? Was there something missing?
Of course, doctor. I give you an example. When he said, Sinan said he punched the table, and I said we clap our hand,
Yeah.
as if it's something, we don't have anything, just but air.
Right.
We don't have any.
So the cultural expression of anger, the cultural expression of disappointment or
And
frustration.
also, Victor, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Victor. And also, there are some feelings or something you want to express about something in your own language. It is difficult to translate to another language. Maybe the second one maybe understand you, but not as the one who is from your own country. Okay. Yes.
That doesn't touch your feeling.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
same.
Yes.
For our course, you cannot study the Arabic version and compare it to the English version for our comparative literature, but you can do that for your final assignment. For your final project, for your thesis, your master's thesis. So if you chose to study the novel in Arabic and compare that to the English version, you can do that. Either Huda or Ali, you all can take that up. I think Huda might want to do something that looks at translation and looks at text from one text to from one language or one medium to another. So you can consider that. You can explore that further for your final thesis, but not for the English. Not for the comparative literature course. Okay.
Of course, doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
It will be wonderful, Doctor.
Yeah, so okay, so that was our book club discussion where we looked at Sinan Antoon's The Corpse Washer. Thank you so much, Jennifer, Shahira, Ali, Huda, and Ranjani. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your in-depth reading. I'm going to stop the recording now.